Can't understand? Welcome to our philosophical discussions. I'm Ashwari.
I'm Salman,
I'm Noor.
I'm Tom.
Our big
and our
question
big
today,
question today is, what would be life like in a perfect world?
yeah, what constitutes a perfect world? To make it sound a bit better. Who's gonna start us
I
off?
think I do think the guests
Noor.
need to start us off.
Noor,
Yeah,
start
Tom or
us off.
Noor. Let's hear Noor. Sorry, Tom.
Okay. So what we can ask ourselves first is, would living in the perfect world really make our life perfect?
But what would you consider a perfect world?
Well, it honestly depends on each individual.
What would you
Obviously.
consider a perfect world?
That is you being an
My
individual, yes.
personal opinion.
Yes, it's
Well-
entirely based on opinion.
I guess.
What is your opinion
for
on
me-
perfect world?
For me, a perfect world right now would probably be a world without racism and ignorant people, and just everyone being respectful of each other.
So do you think world peace means a perfect world?
Yeah, definitely.
Tom?
To some degree, I don't think no racism would ever be possible. I mean, that's what we're thinking about hypothetically, but
Yeah.
would no racism actually be a good thing always?
When would
'Cause
racism
you-
be a good thing?
I feel like
Yes,
no, I know what he's trying to say. He's saying that maybe understanding different people of different color have different attributes. Not in a negative way, but like in a positive way. Like
But
you
then
know,
that's
Yeah,
not
'cause,
racism.
I mean, like where you're
be
from and your race makes up who you are.
Okay, so you're
it's
saying
human nature to like compare yourself to someone who's different. So
Okay.
if you
differentiating
remove the
between races is
difference,
important, but not racism.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
race,
can
obviously.
Yeah.
you can notice that people with like different races and stuff are gonna have obviously different backgrounds, different cultures and things like that. But just like knowing that we're all human and that the color of someone doesn't define whether they're more worth it or like superior than someone else, that wouldn't be perfect.
Okay.
That would be racism.
So yeah, sure. Racism, obviously, I can't think of an instance where racism can be seen in positive light. Maybe there are potentially. I can't think of any exceptions personally, but
No, I don't.
yeah.
I think it's just a whole negative thing.
Yeah.
The whole point of it is that
Very
it's bad.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, while differentiating between races and appreciating different cultures is important, I think that honestly eliminating racism would be part of what constitutes a perfect world, personally. Tom,
Yeah.
what else do you think constitutes a perfect world?
A world where everyone's happy with what they have rather than everyone's equal.
Okay,
Because as
great.
we've seen,
Yeah,
communism,
like,
equality isn't always the best thing.
yeah, you can't really give everyone equal things and then expect them all to be happy because everyone's happy with different stuff.
But yeah, perfect world would also be like a world where everyone has enough resources and food and a sustainable.
Would that
And
be
how-
perfect though? Or would that be a good world?
That would be a perfect world.
Okay, what differentiates
So
a
you're
good
saying
and a
you
perfect world?
you have a perfect world if you just had food and water and a house and a family.
Well,
That
that's
sounds
honestly
perfect.
pretty. I mean, it's still pretty hard to like reach that. I mean, I don't think we're ever gonna reach that. Like
This
for
is all
every single.
hypothetical.
Yeah, I know, but it's still like, it's
No,
still.
but that would be a good life. It depends on the person because for us that would be like the normal life because we all have food.
So would you
water,
rather have
shelter.
a perfect life or a perfect world? And do you think necessarily having a perfect world leads to a perfect life?
I would
Perfect
say
life
perfect
sounds a bit
world.
more individual and selfish, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You mean
Yeah.
everyone has
If you would rather have a perfect life than have the world be perfect, that says a lot about your character, not necessarily negatively, because
Don't you think?
humans are selfish. Like we choose ourselves over others typically, in most instances. And so, I mean, that goes into like showing that Like, I personally would rather have a perfect life than a perfect world, because I'd like to be happy and I'd like to feel fulfilled, even when the world isn't perfect.
Wouldn't the point of a perfect world is that everyone's happy and fulfilled?
Yeah, I think that
That's the
perfect
thing. Doesn't
means, like,
necessarily mean, like, let's say we are let's say we define a perfect world as no, as world peace, for example. Does that necessarily mean your life is
It
going to
can't
be
be one
perfect? Because
thing,
no, be
though.
quiet. Because, like, for example, a perfect life to me would be having a stable job and having a family. But let's say we had world peace. If I didn't have that stable job and that stable family or whatever, not stable family, a family, um, I probably wouldn't be happy and I wouldn't consider it perfect, personally.
yeah, but I mean, you can have both. I mean, for
Yeah.
me, a perfect
And
world would be like a world where there's well, no racism, a world that's not misogynistic, where men and women have the same rights,
or
obviously everywhere.
or any misandrous either.
Yeah. Where every religion is like respected,
Mhm.
where
Culture too.
what else?
Wait.
Where there's
Every
no
religion.
where there's world peace, obviously, where everyone has can like have access to like um food and drinkable water, have shelter,
The thing
have
is,
Don't you think two
Would
of
be
them could be
perfect.
interchangeable? Because if you have a religion that's like rooted in racism,
Mhm.
would you still respect the religion even though it's against the perfect world of racism? Because like the KKK, like it can, like they can kind of classify as a religion because they believe in something different
You only
than
need
what
three
the
people to
actual
start a
Christians
religion.
believe in.
So yeah.
What?
You only need three people to
Yeah,
start a religion. So yeah, that's like
exactly. So if you respect every religion, you're gonna have to pretty much accept that you're gonna respect the KKK, but their
but
whole
then,
basis is that white people are
then again,
superior.
maybe then we have to decide that we only respect religions that have good moral basis.
But
but what
then
we're
you
saying
decide the
is,
morals so it becomes your perfect world. It doesn't
what we're
become the
saying
Yeah,
is
perfect
that
world.
this is a world where there is no violence or anything like that. So those religions technically wouldn't exist, or it wouldn't be based on that. And so then I guess you could respect every religion if it aligned with your values. But is a
but
world
then
where everyone aligns with your values perfect? Sorry, Tom, you were
but
saying.
then
No,
someone's point.
it's your perfect. Yeah, go on.
Someone was saying that every religion should be like Noor said as well.
Yeah.
Every religion should be respected. But then again, what if the religion encourages violence? Then you're not respecting
What
the
if,
religion.
yeah,
But
It
if we're
doesn't
living
follow
in
the-
a world with world peace, for example, where there is no violence or racism, those religions wouldn't exist necessarily.
but what if the religions don't believe in with your religion? Like, what if my perfect world isn't like all Muslim world and there's Christians, but you need to respect all religions, right?
Mm.
But they don't believe in what I believe, so therefore it's not a perfect world.
Yes, that's what we're saying. Does that necessarily, so is it okay? So we can rephrase it. Is it possible to have a perfect world where there is no violence and racism, but still appreciating everyone's cultures? Probably not, because everyone's beliefs differ so greatly. Or in that, can we say that is a perfect world defined by necessarily everyone aligning with your beliefs?
If we lead to like everyone aligning with your beliefs and everyone having the same belief, that's literally what 1984 is, isn't it?
Hmm.
There's
Yeah,
no individuality, everyone just believes the same thing.
Would there be
But
rebellions?
that there can't be because everyone believes in the same thing.
In
Everyone
1984,
thinks
there were
the same
rebellions.
way.
Winston.
yeah,
There
but
was
he
one
failed.
guy. What happened to him?
Yeah, that's true. But okay, would there be the inclination then to rebel, do you think? Probably.
No, because at one point you brainwash them enough that they don't think anything else than what you tell them. And once you have that much power,
Just
So
it
there are
turns into a
no
dystopia.
anomalies. If you rule as
if there's no
totalitarians and you
if
In
want
a
there's
to,
perfect world, yeah, there'd be no anomalies.
there's
Everyone
no
would agree
rebellion,
with you.
okay.
if there's no rebellion for like generations, the younger generations aren't even gonna think of it because they don't even like people imagine like for
Imagine they
example
remove the word rebellion.
exactly
You
they're
can't
gonna
even think of the word. You can't even
um
think of rebellion.
But that's
You
just
can't
new.
even think of
That's
anything
new
against it.
speaking. That's new
government
speaking
can,
Oceania.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So, but there's still the inclination to rebel, which Winston tries and obviously does not work. Well, it does work in the sense that he does rebel, but it doesn't end very well for
It
him.
doesn't get anywhere.
Yeah. Well,
Oh yeah, that happens. If someone
if
does rebel, they don't get anywhere because they're against the mass like public.
but then he was still able to experience that rebellion or that sort of those sort of actions with Julia, for example, or even something like writing in a diary. He was able to write in his diary or whatever and express his
What do
thoughts
you
in a community where self-expression is so taboo. He was able to have fun with Julia, to put it lightly. I don't know if we're allowed to say, well, no, it's in the book. They have loving relations.
intercourse? Let's go.
Yeah, okay. So I guess in a way he does get places with that, as he does things that no one else is able or allowed to do. But in the end, yeah, you're right. He ends up
Yeah,
back
exactly.
to
And he's seen the other world, right? Like he's like kind of remembers it, okay?
Yeah.
What if in like 200 years there's like there's literally no shred of evidence of anything that happened before, right? What do you think then? You literally become a robot because you can't think of anything other than what you get told of.
Yeah.
I think the key thing we take away from this is that we can't like have a perfect world that satisfies all of our needs, because we're always going to have
Exactly.
different needs.
Yeah. And
Let's
then
say if you know, have you guys seen the thing where you like upload your consciousness into like your own perfect world
Mm.
and you live? Would you do that in your perfect world? Like it would
What?
be your perfect world. So
I've never
there's this
heard of it.
idea that you can upload your like you can upload yourself onto a computer which builds a world that is perfect for you,
Oh,
and then you live in that world.
I mean, in
And
theory,
you're
yeah, I would.
yes, I would do it as well, because if it is a perfect world, it would mean in my perfect world I would be extremely happy all the time, right?
But
Well,
then
in my perfect world, I would be happy, but also sad, because if you're only happy, then
To
you can't really.
experience.
yeah,
I
you
wouldn't.
could never if you're always happy, how do you know what emotions are if you're always feeling the exact same one?
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to
but
be
what if?
happy my entire life. Like, well, low
But we don't
moments.
know what being
Like that.
happy feels like,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like all the time, unless you know you've been happy for like 20 plus years. Maybe we haven't experienced this. We don't know how good it is because we always get lows.
Yeah, and in a
Well,
perfect world where everyone's values or beliefs align, there's no conflict, because with obviously opposing beliefs, there is conflict 99% of the time. And without conflict, how do you grow? How do you not be ignorant? Because
Yeah, how do you
No, but
change how do you like grow as a person?
yeah, exactly.
are we saying here that everyone's beliefs are aligned, as in they want to believe that, or are they forced to believe that?
No,
So let's say that, like, for
they believe
example,
that.
yeah. So let's say, for example, our beliefs do align to a certain extent, us four. Like, for example, we all believe in feminism, I hope. We all believe that racism should be eradicated. We all believe that world peace should be a thing. Tom, why are you smiling about that? I hope you're a feminist.
No.
um, so there's no conflict with that. Like, there's no like, I'm like, women should have rights, and none of you are gonna be like, no. So that's good if there's no conflict with that. But can you imagine if everyone was like that? It would seem good, sure, but would we be able to, first of all, strengthen our arguments without having to do that? Would we be able
No,
to grow as
but there would be no argument for it because it would be a perfect world where you would have equal opportunities.
yeah. But then wouldn't that bring in a sense of like ignorance in terms of you're just stuck with that? You don't think about anything else. You don't think about there being any other side.
But now you're leading into like kind of saying that you don't want equality.
No, so I'm not saying that. I'm saying that yes, women should be equal, but I think the people that don't agree, it's just as important to hear their
It's
inputs
important
and
to
their
hear two sides of the story, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm going based on what our world is currently. So obviously we're never going to achieve equality. I don't think that's going to happen, and if it does, not in our lifetime at least. And like on Twitter, yes, I will look at people that align with my values, but I'll also look at people that don't. Like, you saw the thing I retweeted the other day. It was like, Tony MP says the Black Lives Matter is divisive. And like, I don't agree with that. But because like it divides the people that believe in racism and the people that don't. But it's important to still look at those, because that encourages your way of thinking. If we're living in a perfect world where we all have world peace and all believe the same things, we're not going to grow as people, and we're not going to be able to make fulfilling.
I see what you mean. Like in the same way that tests kind of like strengthen our knowledge, arguing with people against their differing opinions can strengthen their own opinions.
Exactly.
And knowledge.
Yeah.
But do you want problems in your life? would you rather not have any
Then-
problems or
No,
have
If you have
problems?
problems, you don't learn from them, and you can't become a better
Exactly,
person.
right.
you can't grow if you don't have
Yeah.
conflict.
Yeah.
Not necessarily conflict. You can't grow.
I guess there are going to be other conflicts. I mean, we don't know, but there might
It's
be
a
other
perfect
conflicts
world.
that come with it, with like a perfect world and things like that. Just things we can't, like things
It's
we
a
can't really think of
definition,
right now because we haven't like experienced it.
Although, who's to say
Well, then
that
you
for
define one of the rules as no, like, problems or like no clashes of thing.
I
If
don't
everyone
think
believes
there's.
in the same,
With that being a rule,
don't
then
think-
you're not allowed to oppose anyone's beliefs. Is that what you're saying?
no, you're not allowed to because you can't because you believe the same thing.
Okay, well then that wouldn't. Okay, yeah, then that wouldn't really be a rule. It would just be like it's a given, really. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
it would like transfer from the other rules.
Yeah, it would just
It
kind
would
of
be like me arguing
accepted.
Tom on like
Yeah.
something we both agree on.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only thing where it would be like really difficult for people to agree on is probably like in terms of like their religion and their beliefs, because they're always going to fight for what they like believe and stuff like that. But I guess the reason why everyone, or like most of the world anyways, wants to like end racism and like everyone believes in like feminism is the reason that racism and feminism is like detrimental to like the being of like, well, racism is like detrimental to like black people, like it actually hurts them like mentally and well physically. So that's the reason why I guess a perfect world would be a world where like people's beliefs don't hurt anyone.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I agree.
Yeah, I like it, but
But then
how can you have
it's kind of
opposing beliefs that don't hurt
contradictory
anyone?
in terms of
Yeah.
if we want to embrace different cultures, then we can't have no conflict, just as you said. So it's quite a contradictory statement to say we want a world where we embrace everyone's culture, but we want no conflict. Because I personally can't see that happening.
Yeah. So that would mean that you would embrace like South Korean people eating dogs because it's their culture, right?
Chinese,
Here's the
someone-
difference, though.
You don't
You
think
could embrace it,
we
you-
all have different moral values. You can't judge
Yeah.
like you can't judge a slave trader in 1800 for doing what he did because that was normal back then. That was what
He's
it,
making
what
his
most
living
people did.
out of that. Like if you take away that,
Yeah.
you take away the way he makes
He should be
wait,
judged
meats
by
end.
then standards.
Makes meats end. Makes
not-
ends
No, but the
meet.
difference is, no, like I think I know what Noor's trying to say. Like you can judge people, you can like okay, you have to accept their opinion, but you can't do anything about it. Like for example, say there's a KKK, I don't approve of them. That's fine. I just leave it there. In this perfect world, you don't do anything about it, and therefore the KKK doesn't do anything towards black people. It's just their opinion.
We were making the point of what were we making the point about? We were talking about the KKK and how so in a society, as much as you might disagree with someone's beliefs or moral values or whatever, you can't do anything about it. And then someone brought up the point of like, if you hate something, you're not going to be able to do nothing about it. And then I was like, agreed, because like with racism, for example, we've all vocally expressed how much we hate racism. Because it's not enough to just be for equality quietly. Like, it's important to be vocal about it. And so in a society where you can't do that, is society really perfect? Like, what would the effects of having to be quiet be?
Well, okay. So I guess a world where like people's what I said earlier, like people's beliefs don't hurt anyone like mentally or physically would be well obviously really hard to achieve. I guess people are always going to speak out about what they believe, and I think they should just acknowledge the opposing viewpoint. They can, I guess, judge people and like will say what they believe and stuff, I guess, as long as it's not directly detrimental to the person. So obviously not hurt the people physically. That would be obviously not
what if that's a part of the belief system?
Exactly. Don't you think judging people is important?
I think that
Like,
in a perfect society it is important as much as it's a bad.
I think
Oh,
it's working out.
You good? Okay. Yeah, I was just saying that in a perfect world or society, like I think judging people is important. As much as it is
Yeah.
bad for the recipient, it is actually very important.
Yeah.
I think you need to be checked if you're doing something wrong, like not like not objectively, so not like personally wrong, like in my opinion, but like just morally wrong, like just like
Objectively
beating up
wrong,
someone
not
for no reason.
subjectively,
Yeah,
right?
objectively wrong. They need to be checked for that, not because of my opinion, because of just what's known as right or wrong.
Yeah. But then that goes into, again, what would the right and wrong be in society if it was perfect?
Yeah.
Like, it's a very,
Which frame?
It all depends on the person. I
It's,
feel
yeah,
like
it's,
it all.
it's a very heavy question.
mhm.
What would you have in yours though? Like,
In mine,
yeah,
I've personally never thought about what would be a perfect society. I've thought about what would be like a perfect life, for example, but a perfect world or perfect society is a very big thing, because yes, as much as I would like to have equality and have women have the same rights as men, how good of a thing would it really be, and how many people would that ever actually be able to happen, and what would that society even be like? Because again, there would be no conflict. There's no way to sort of, you can't make a fulfilling decision if you haven't considered all perspectives, and if there are no other
exactly.
perspectives.
Yeah.
And
And sometimes
like
conflict is important as well, the same as way as like judging people is like conflict. If someone is something wrong, then you should be able to confront them on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
you
And
should
also,
give your like
someone-
opinion and stuff.
Say that again. So on.
Oh, me? Oh. I was just saying, like, you should be able to like confront them and tell them if they're doing something wrong. And if you can't, if everyone agrees with you, like, it gets a bit boring, right?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah,
can't
if
see
course.
other opinions.
someone
Like,
agrees with
it's
you,
a
you don't
dead.
have anything to fight for.
Yeah.
Why do you think I love
Do you
art
guys
guys so
want
much?
something to fight for? Do you guys want something to fight for? Like, so that would
Obviously.
come. So, do you want equality? Because that would mean you don't have anything to fight for.
Yeah, and
Or
that's
do
the
you
thing.
not want equality? Because then
So
you have something to fight
while
for.
equality is obviously something we should strive for in pretty much all aspects, like it's not fair that women, for example, the wage gap, or it's not fair that men are taught, there's this whole stigma with like, don't be emotional. There should be equality in everything. But the thing is,
I
if
think
we
that
had equality, what would society be like? Would it be good? And so
I think that okay, go ahead. Sorry.
that's fine. Finish.
No, finish. It's fine.
Finish. It's okay.
Okay, I think that like well over time, well obviously before like people were fighting for well other things, so like people were fighting against like monarchies after it was slavery, things like that. I think that over time people have always looked for a new
Purpose.
concept to fight for. So I think that even if we do reach equality or no racism or anything, people are always going to find another thing to fight for.
That's
Something we're not thinking of right now because like we have to focus on getting equality, having a world with no racism and stuff like that.
what I
But
was.
then later, they're probably going to find something.
Yeah,
to
so
fight
what I was
for.
going to bring up was something like 1984. You know how they have the 2-minute hate to release pent-up anger and frustration? What if we had something like that in a perfect society where, yes, equality obviously is a thing, but then you have something that like opposes a view, like you have, for example, if we have world peace as like our example, we watch like documentaries of our old world of like conflict, and we all sort of get our pent up anger and frustration from not having any conflict out on that, and then we again return to our perfect world. I mean, would that be a feasible thing?
Don't you think Noah's perfect world of no racism and no sexism, like it's literally 1984, right? Because everyone's the same.
That's what I'm
like
saying.
women, men treated everyone, but they're treated like shit.
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I
So
can't say that, can I?
Inequality is important.
Just put the little beep thing.
sorry.
Just put the little beep thing
Bleep
for like
Bleep
curse
thing.
words.
Okay.
Wait, boys, guys, I gotta go for like 5 minutes. Give me a second. I'm hungry.
Okay.
Um, yeah, as we were saying, so yeah, it is very much like 1984, where everyone's beliefs are sort of aligned either forcefully or because people are so brainwashed that it becomes the norm.
I guess, but I mean, I think the difference between 1984 and the perfect world would be that in 1984, the beliefs that are like forced, like 1, 2, 3, are forced upon the people. Like they are forced to like think in that certain way. I guess they don't have any like freedom or like freedom of thought or like opinion. And I think the difference between 1984 and the perfect world would be the fact that in the perfect world, people would still be able to speak out and have their like and be able to like think and like have an opinion.
But that's very contradictory because if everyone's under the same opinion, you can't argue anything. Sorry, Tom, you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, I just think we can like kind of conclude for this point that I think that inequality is kind of important in some aspects, as it's not a good thing morally, but it is important for society. As if you don't have inequality, if you have, yeah,
Agreed.
we agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying something like, yes, while we have inequality, while we have equality as an important thing, something like in Oceania where they have the 2-minute hate, where they release all the pent up anger and frustration. Maybe that's something that could be implemented into society. But then who knows how that would actually end up working out for society as a whole? Would that be good? Would that even work?
Well, the 2-minute hate thing was to put everyone on one side.
Yeah,
that was the point.
Yeah, but then the party described that as them releasing pent up, because they're filled with hatred towards enemies of the party, right? So they're putting their hatred out towards the enemies of the party, and so that could be something we had here. So our enemies in this case could be the people that exist currently, like the racists and the sexists and the bigots and all that. Could we release our pent up anger and frustration on them? Would that ever work?
But in the perfect society, there would be no such thing.
No, so like it's like sort of maybe something that's generated, because if we're able to achieve a perfect society, we must be able to generate something, or like have actors act out something like racism or something like what we see today, and then we release our anger and frustration out on that. But then would that ever work? Would that ever be as effective as actually having those real life conflicts, or would they not be aware that these were not real life?
No, but then you would be lying to your.
Yeah, it would be lying.
But then you would know it wouldn't be a perfect world, because there would be someone who holds higher power over literally millions of people.
That's the thing. So no, it probably wouldn't work. So
Okay, so in conclusion, guys, I think that we can all agree that a perfect society is a perfect world is a very controversial thing. Like no one will all agree on one perfect world, and it's more of a personal thing.
And even most
I feel like
definitions of a perfect world, most people's definitions of a perfect world wouldn't be perfect at all, because like we said, conflict is important. Sorry, Salman, you were saying something.
Yeah, same thing. So yeah, you need people with different opinions to make yourself grow and make yourself a better person. So I don't think there is a perfect world.
Yeah. And a perfect world, yeah, it wouldn't be perfect. Nor?
Exactly. People's opinions differ so much, and they're so please guys stop looking at me. Stop looking at you. I just people's opinions differ so much, and they're so important in terms of like allowing them to like grow as a person and develop their own beliefs, that like a perfect world isn't possible.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect
Like
life.
and comment and subscribe, and
A perfect life wouldn't be fulfilling, but you know what is fulfilling? Watching these podcasts. Salman.
yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Wait for episode 3.
Agreed.
Bye.
Goodbye.
I have a joke.
We'll see you guys next week on Can't Understand.